Well, hello. Happy New Year for 2014. In front of me, as you can see, I have the helmet I wear and have the brand and model I've worn for many, many years. This is my Arai Signet Q. The Signet Q is replaced the Profile, which replaced the Signet 2, which replaced the Signet. And the Signet, I believe, was originally launched in North America, or at least here in Canada, by Arai in 1985. I've been wearing Arai since 1993, and I've never worn any other model than the Signet or its replacements. The main reason being because this particular brand, Arai, and this particular model are designed around a specific shaped head, and that specific shaped head happens to be closest to what I have on my shoulders. My head is about 8 inches long from the center of my forehead to the back, the sharp bone on the back of my skull. It's about 5 inches wide at the temple and about 5 3/4 inches wide just above my ears. So it's actually egg-shaped if you looked at it from the top. And you can call me an egghead if you wish. Anyway, I have what is known as a long oval head. So although the shape is oval and round to some degree, it's longer and narrower than most people, okay, than the vast majority of people anyway. Arai makes other shaped helmets, or other helmets designed for different shaped heads, what they call the intermediate oval, which is a more conventional shaped head, or more common shaped head, a little rounder. This particular helmet, if somebody with a more, more common shaped head were to put this helmet on, they would find a lot of pressure on the side of their head, around their ears, their jaw, on their temples, and it would be 5 or 10 minutes and they would get a headache. For me, it fits perfect. Me, on the other hand, if I were to put on an intermediate oval shaped helmet, and quite honestly, most brands make helmets designed for the vast majority of riders, the intermediate oval shape. And when I put one of those helmets on, and for example, I have, for my passenger helmet, I have a Shoei RF 1100. When I put that Shoei on, which fits the vast majority of people, when I put it on, I get a tremendous amount of pressure right at the front of my head after about 5 to 10 minutes of wearing it. Makes it very uncomfortable and actually makes draws the attention away from the ride, which reduces the fun and also makes me more dangerous on the road. So I focus on getting a helmet that fits and fits properly. People will say, as they're watching this, that I am promoting this particular brand. This is an expensive brand, relatively speaking. There are more expensive helmets out there. Arai generally are more expensive helmets. They're made in Japan. The fit and finish is excellent. But since I don't buy and sell used helmets, I'm not looking for resale. So I don't specifically go out looking for an expensive brand. The reason I'm wearing this brand and this particular model is simply because it fits me very, very well. And I have no complaints about the fit and finish and the fit itself of the helmet. Outside of that, I mean, the helmet is very, we'll call it conventional in its design. There's no fancy airfoils. There's a venting system, but most helmets have that. The quality of the paint is very good. When Arai applies decals to their helmets, they're usually clear-coated over top of them, so the quality of the decals is also very good. No problems there. Arai does make a relatively light helmet. It's not the lightest on the market, but they do tout the weight of these, or the mass of these helmets, as being on the low end of the scale. The downside of that is the particular material they make, or I feel, and I'm speculating here, but the material they use to make this is rigid and hard, and that rigid or hardness causes the helmet to resonate in the wind buffeting, okay, making it noisy, making the shell generally noisy. Even if you get a helmet that fits you perfectly, or as good as you can get from a size standpoint, small, medium, or large, this particular helmet will be louder than some of the other brands out there, okay? And I've played with this forever, so I'm forced, and I would anyway, I think with any brand, but I'm forced definitely with this particular model to wear earplugs, okay, to save my hearing. That being said, the helmet does perform well otherwise. It has very good venting, and I'll talk a little bit about the venting on this helmet. To begin, it has a chin vent, which most helmets have, and this has 3 settings. It has closed, intermediate, and wide open. Okay, and that reduces or increases the movement of air into the chin area of the helmet. Inside, there's venting along the front of the shield, I guess, to reduce any fogging or steaming that could occur. There's a slight nose or breath guard right up here. This particular bump in the breath guard just comes, I'd say ½ centimeter from your nose. So it's designed to line up to the breath and take most of your breathing away from the shield, flow it down, okay? On the bottom of the helmet, there is a tiny little chin spout that pulls down, okay? And that's there primarily to make the helmet a little warmer when you're riding on colder days. The top of the helmet has 2 exhaust vents, or intake vents we'll call them, and they take in air and direct it about halfway, a third to a halfway along the top of your head. At the back of the helmet, there are 2 exhaust vents controlled by 1 button, and there's 2 settings for that. Okay, either halfway open, closed, or all the way open. Okay. And they work very well. As soon as you open it, you feel the cool air. Along either side, on the bottom, are 2 exhaust vents. They are always open, and they draw just a little bit of air away from the bottom part of your ear. Okay. In the front, and this is something unique to Arai. I haven't found any other brands that use this particular type of mechanism. They have what are called they refer to as brow vents. These tiny little vents. They open up a little bit, not very much. 1/16 or 1/32 of an inch, just tiny little vents. They line up with these 2 rubber snorkels. If you can see them, there's one right there. The idea here, and when you look at it sitting on the shelf, it looks like a gimmick, but it works very, very nicely. It takes air into that snorkel and directs it right at your forehead. Okay, and this coming from experience of trying other helmets. Very few helmets that have venting that comes in so close to the front of your head than the Arai, and most of their models have this brow vent system, and it works quite nicely. And once you get used to it, you get spoiled with it. So I really, really like it. It cools me down, and you just open these here things just a touch, and you immediately feel cool on your head. Now, if you didn't know this, your head is very vascular. So if you have good venting in your helmet, and some helmets are better than others, but if you have good venting in your helmet, it will do a huge amount of cooling for your body overall, just by cooling down the blood that circulates around your head. Venting on this helmet's very, very good. The shield system, Arai's taking a lot of criticism over their shield system, and it's primarily because of the way the shields come off and on, how they're attached to the helmet. The shield itself is a 100 friction system, so there's no detents to hold it in place. It's just a friction system, and it works quite well. If you open up the shield, even at highway speed, just halfway, there's enough friction here to hold it in that position. And even after several seasons of riding, the friction still stays strong. I'm not sure what they use, what plastic they use or Teflon they use to maintain that friction, but it works quite nicely. Now the shield has, and Arai touts, a pin lock system. And this is something new. They just went to in the last couple seasons, that the shield they use actually has, and you can see them here, these 2 pins. There's one here behind my finger. There's one on this side, one on that side. These pins are designed, if you look closely here, you can see almost a line around the shaped line or impression around the shield here. It's actually, this part of the eye of the shield is actually pulled outwards, or sits proud of the shield itself, and it's designed to take a liner inside here, another shield almost within that holds on to these two pins. And the idea is to create an airspace between a layered or a sandwich system that reduces fogging. It's the primary idea there. And the other beauty of it is, and perhaps this is one of the motivators, which I'll talk about in a second, since these people do find these shields difficult to remove, you can actually get different tinting or coloring on the interior shield that attaches onto these two pins. You can get light smoke, dark smoke, you can get an amber tinted liner, you can get a blue tinted liner, I think there's a few other tints, or you can just get clear colorless. But the idea is they'll also be much easier to remove and smaller to carry around with you if you feel that you're doing a long ride and you want a tinted shield for the day and then a clear colorless at night. Now, as you can see, this, if you can see in the video, this shield is actually dirty. I haven't cleaned it yet, believe it or not. I'm getting around to cleaning things here after the season's over. For cleaning the shield, I just use hot water, period. What I do is I take 2 microfiber cloths. The first one is I soak in steaming hot tap water, as hot as I can get it out of the tap, okay? So it's so hot it's almost burning my hand, and I immediately come out and I spread it out over top of the shield in the front of the helmet. Most of what I get on my helmets, aside from road grime, is dead bugs. And this hot water tends to soften up their bodies and allow me to, you can dab them up a little bit, soften them, give them one quick wipe, flip the cloth over and give it another wipe, and then grab your second cloth that's still dry and wipe everything down lightly. And if you could see this shield in person, aside from the dirt on it, there's no scuffs, scratches, or cloudiness to it. And this here helmet is 3 years old. Speaking of which, Arai now has a system, actually they've had this for years. Arai believes that a helmet is only good for 5 years, and after 5 years from its date of manufacturing, the foam, the protective foam in the shell, tends to break down and reduce its effectiveness in a fall. So what they recommend you do is you replace the helmet after 5 years from the date of manufacture, not necessarily from the date of purchase, because you may buy a helmet that's 2 or 3 years old. Be careful of that. But if you do, is that you replace it after 5 years from the date of manufacture. Inside, there's a tag, and you can't see it here, but there's a tag, and it has the date of manufacturing. And the date. Just for the record, and back to the shield, these things are, they're not as easy to pop on and off as other brands. But, and I've owned about 20 Arai Signets or Profiles or Signet, whatever, this particular line, this long oval line that they sell. I've owned about 20 of them, and I still wrestle with them a little bit. But I'll just show you how I take them off. Now there's tons of videos out there, and even Arai puts out a video on how to take the shield off and on. But I'll let you know that it is frustrating. Fortunately, I've never broken these side covers, which sometimes if you get a little too aggressive with it, they can come off. There's 2 levers that will pop up. The purpose of those levers is to actually bow those side covers out a little bit. That's all they do, and they allow you to pull the shield out. Anyway, watch. So, in order to remove the shield, it's pretty easy. You just lift the shield fully open until it clicks all the way up. Okay, and then you can see along these edges, okay, a tiny little lever there. Actually, it's not that tiny. Just reach in there with your finger. There's one. Okay, and then there's the other one. They tend to pop up when the shield's all the way up. Pull them all the way up as far as you can, and just with gentle pressure, just lift them up. Each one will click, and you can pull the shield right off. And there's the shield. Okay. Putting the shield back in is actually easier, believe it or not. You can see the cutout in the shield here is round, and if you look closely, if you can see that in the video, you can see right about here there's a circular sort of boss that cutout will ride in. So all you have to do essentially is line that up way, almost a shield wide open. Just push it in, just like that. Okay, go around the other side and do the same thing. Just push it in, just like that. When it's all the way in, you just close it. Anyway, I do really like this helmet. Just to recap, the pluses are fit and finish is excellent. The fit on my head, which is most important, is the only one I've found. I'll keep looking, and if I were to find a $200 helmet that fit me better, I'd probably buy it, provided it's DOT certified. But right now, this is the only one I've been able to find that fits me as well as it does. So that's good. The downside to this helmet is A, it's a frustrating shield system, as you can see, and B, it is noisy. It's a loud helmet. And so that's something you should be aware of if and when you buy one of these. Anyway, until next time, thanks again.